Hi, welcome to our show. Today we are going to interview Marcus Lewis, who is the 2nd Congressional District candidate. And welcome to our show, Mr. Lewis.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mason.
Well, thank you for coming. Now, what do you view as some of the greatest challenges facing the 2nd District?
The greatest challenge I have said is the voting for someone else other than the machine candidate. It could have been an economic question or a violence question in the neighborhoods or an education question. But the number one problem that we are facing is allurement. To be able to not do something different when we're faced with the call for new leadership. And we're not getting that because the public has been conditioned to only vote one way, as if an alternative could not be chosen. And I'm stepping forth to break that cycle because we must break that cycle this election.
Okay, voting for the regular candidate, but what are some of the real problems or issues that's actually in the community?
All right, if we want to address those, we can deal with the lack of jobs and lack of investment in the 2nd District. It's basically a wasteland.
Okay. I asked some people because I wanted to know, and they said poverty,
Absolutely.
Lack of jobs, employment, and food desert,
Yes.
and poor educational.
Well, you know, a third of the schools that were in the 54 that Rahm Emanuel closed, I'll give him his respect, Mayor Emanuel had done, is in the 2nd Congressional District. And to do such a thing, to close these schools, we're firing teachers. We are disassembling the neighborhoods, and we're now having empty buildings. That cannot be tolerated, to be allowed to disinvest from our community when we need things so badly. Food deserts simply because we don't have grocery stores, as if black people, since it's majority black, do not like to eat. We like to eat.
Oh, yes.
Why won't why did Jules and Dominic's leave? And we're trying to bring, I heard, Mariano's in to some of the empty Dominic stores. Why is it such a hardship? It's because I believe there's an underlying plan. The issue that we face now is that we are on the land that outsiders want.
Yes, absolutely. Now, Mariano's, that to me, I don't see African Americans going to patronize that area, that business. Now, I could see a Jewel or Dominic's because it's reasonable. Mariano's to me is expensive.
But Mariano's is out in Frankfurt. I live in Madison, so it's not far away. Excellent store. It has things that Jewel and Dominic's never offered. And the variety and the prices are very reasonable.
Oh, really? Okay.
Absolutely. They will grill. You can go and see seafood you've never seen before. I mean, I'm not an octopus eater or shark, but I do like perch. And they will grill it right before you. And it will be the same price that you would buy if you had bought it raw and take it home and cook it yourself. They'll grill it right there.
Okay. Yeah, I do understand that they do that. Okay, now, but is it kind of expensive?
No.
Oh, it isn't? Okay.
It's not. It's just unfamiliar.
Yes.
Because we've been conditioned to be what stores like Ultra and Jewel's and Dominic's have been the stores that have been the hallmark of our living in the 2nd District and the South Side, West Side, period. But now since there's a changeover and these stores have now left our community, new stores or new investment must come in.
Yes.
Now, it didn't have to be a Mariano's, it could be a Brown's. It could be a Johnson's. That's what Marcus Lewis wants to do. I want to open up the door of resources from the federal government and through private investment that we might have a Clarice Mason's, a whole fleet of Clarice Mason's grocery stores or food markets. You know, we have Pete's Food Market throughout the South Side.
Yes.
Well, why couldn't that be a Clarice's? What I'm trying to get people to think, if we can do something different, we don't have to be just simply consumers, but we must be players.
Yes.
We must be actors. For example, we must be voters. And I'm trying to give them something different to vote for. This is my 3rd run in 2 years. I ran in 2012 because I had a congressman who now is in prison, gave me a written promise to rescue 8 students that had their medical education stolen by Rush Medical College, and they were black. So these are doctors that have now been blackballed from ever becoming hallmarks in our, or pillars in the black community as far as being physicians. And we can't have that. And so I ran when I found out that he was taking campaign contributions from the very discriminator. And so I'm not a politician. I am a person that simply wants to do the right thing, and since nobody else is stepping forward, then Lord, send me. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I have done. And so when I had received the 40,000 votes and should have been elected congressman 2 years ago, the job does not exceed, Clarice, if I may call you Clarice, 2 years, basically 735 days. That's all it encompasses. And we can get a lot done by having a citizen legislator that is not connected to the machine. Because the people, if I may show, we just had a newspaper that endorsed me, the Kankakee City News, came out with an article 2 weeks ago. And it was an investigation saying who really is in charge of the 2nd Congressional District. And we found out that the congressperson that's in charge, the de facto congressperson, is Jesse Jackson's chief of staff, Rick Bryant. And he also now is the chief advisor for Robin Kelly. And he was with Jesse Jackson for 17 years. He wasn't a buddy of Jesse Jackson's. He was put there by the machine to keep the congressperson in check, to make sure that initiatives would be done for those that is backing him. And so we're not getting the largesse. We're not really getting the fruits of our labor to be self-determination. And if you have just a front man, or front woman in this case, you don't really own the seat. So you don't have the power. So you'll continue to wonder, why don't we have this? Miss Kelly is not campaigning. She doesn't have to, because she's on the ballot. I am a write-in. But through the age of technology, we can win a race because the touch screens allow for you to go in there and simply touch the write-in, because I had to register to be a write-in in all the communities, such as all the counties and in Chicago. And all they have to do is touch that word write-in. And guess what? Just like an email or text, the keyboard pops up.
Okay, I'm going to play the devil's advocate. Now, you know our people don't vote in the regular elections unless it's a presidential election, which to me is very foolish.
It is.
If you see in Ferguson, Missouri,
That's right.
where the black community consists of, what, about 70%?
70%.
And only 5% voted in the general election. Now, they voted for in the presidential election.
Correct.
And it's a predominantly black town, and they only have 3 black policemen and no one like on the city council or whatever.
Now, you got to remember, through the strategies, tactics, and efforts of those that are against them, they placed the voting in off-year elections where they knew that the voting would be low. I expect that the machine will have a numbered amount of voters that were going to vote for the Democratic candidate regardless. And everybody else is sitting on the sidelines waiting for 2016. Malcolm X said that the greatest enemy that we have is the media, because it can make the guilty look innocent and the innocent look guilty. And so a show like yours that allows free address or free thought to go back and forth, we now can bring out that you need to vote for me. And the reason why you need to vote for me is to break that. I want to give you the, because I'm a man that simply says we've had enough. We need jobs, money, and resources. Simple as that. I'm only going to take my salary and no more. You cannot buy Marcus Lewis out, because we need somebody that's just simply going to do the job. And we will make history. Do you understand what they did in Ferguson, Missouri? That is what they call a sundown town. That they are controlled, that when the sun goes down, blacks better get out of town. And here, If you put Marcus Lewis here, the media will be on me for 2 years continuously because I'll be Mr. Lewis Goes to Washington. What's Marcus doing today? The postal worker, because that's what I was. I mean, I gave my job up. They took my job out. They stole it because I ran for Congress. I didn't know there was a prohibition of some sort because of a thing called the Hatch Act. But now I'm running free of that. And I'm putting it all on the line to help our community come out of this quagmire because they've been lulled into a deep sleep, but they're wide awake. And they believe that voting for someone else is a cannot do proposition. If you want to do something different and you want change, you must do something different. Our change for the 2nd Congressional District is going to come from the bottom up, not the top down.
Well, okay. Now, are you registering people to vote, and how are you going to get these people to vote? I guess that should be the question.
By being a off-year election, you still are going to have a low number because the media does not want to cover me because they don't want a last minute with 76 days out from the election day. They don't want a surge or momentum for a third-party type candidate. I'm just an independent. You have what they call the Democratic Party and the Republican Party.
Right.
They are having a party, but we're not invited. All we get is the bill. I'm trying to get people to stop thinking party because both of them are at the party and the people are not. You have enough voters on the rolls that are concerned, but they just haven't said, I'm going to come out. They need to come out this election, period. We have enough voters.
Well, I guess the question is, how are you going to get them out?
Shows like this.
Oh, okay.
And I'm out handing out these armbands, these wristbands.
Yes.
That says Marcus Lewis, write it in for 2nd District Rep.
Okay.
U.S. Rep. This is something that is a reminder that I'm actually campaigning and out there to draw your attention that this election is not an election that you should sleep over. Robin Kelly has not said she's going to help anybody get not one job. She doesn't have to. Yet, when I'm campaigning, I hear everybody say, well, I got to look you over. You're not saying that to Robin. I'm trying to show you the inurement, which is people are inured in manure, in thinking. I'm not trying to insult them. Wake up. As I think not Lawrence Fishburne, but with another gentleman when it looked like Obama might lose the 2012 election. He used an epithet. I won't repeat it. The actor Jackson, he was in Star Wars and a couple other things. Very, very good actor.
Not Samuel Jackson.
Samuel Jackson
came
out with an epithet, but the last words was "wake up." Once people see that they have an alternative, which is something the machine does not want, we are not going to get anywhere if you're going to continue to vote for rich people's candidates. She has not promised people anything. She's just running on this anti-gun mantra they gave her. We have concealed carry, Ms. Mason. Concealed carry undoes anti-gun. That's why they went down to Ferguson when the police are now militarized. They're the ones shooting innocent people that are simply protesting using their First Amendment right. Why? Because you have the same type of machine there that's here. You have a electorate that's been suppressed. 80%. Why is it? The mayor is white. His automatic is white. The school board has 1 black, mainly all white. The police force, 50 white, 3 black.
Blacks, yes.
Why is it like that when you have a sleeping majority not waking up? Now they're woke up. They don't want to see that.
I hope so.
Oh, yes, they're woke up.
I hope so.
They are seeing the disrespect, total disrespect. And you're being disrespected by allowing a polished celebrity candidate to keep a seat where millions of dollars are given to every district to maintain itself. We never see it. And billion-dollar votes are done in the House. I have a 2-year plan to where I want to see an industrial park out in the Moni-Peatone area and on the southeast side of Chicago. I want Tesla, the electric car company. Elon Musk wants to build a battery plant somewhere in the United States. I want him to come here. 6,500 jobs are at stake. You don't see anybody vying for that. Marcus Lewis wants to vie for that. The current Congresswoman is not vying for that. She believes she's holding the seat for someone that's going to come out of prison to reclaim it. Mm-hmm. Oh yes, that's the plan. We cannot tolerate that. We must move forward. We must leave the past in the past. Well, who am I? I was a former postal worker. Went to DePaul University. I'm very well versed, very well intelligent, I believe. But what I am is just a common man that sees the needs of people that need help now. And the only way we're going to get help is that the seat of power must be in our hands. We're not taking the seat. We're not asking to vote for me just so I sit in a seat that I just, just use the seat just to get a salary or to enrich myself. No, the salary is all I'll take. But the seat of power to someone that will not sell out is a powerful thing for people that are powerless, that don't have to be. And we will sit at the table of power. Then we can truly have a seat at the table. Now they'll have to deal with me honestly, because I know the machine has plans for the area that are not in conjunction to what I want to do.
What are the plans?
Well, I want to bring Tesla here. Mm-hmm. I want to bring Apple.
What are the plans? Well, you told me about that, but what about I'm saying the organization?
Well, we want to reinvigorate through the office is going to be called the Second Congressional District for All. Mm-hmm. It will be an office that will be of outreach. We want to reopen these schools that they've just closed. You can't do that. We want to make sure these teachers are going back to the classrooms. We don't want overrun of classrooms where, yes, you may have a tablet. Remember, that was the trade-off. Every child now can have a tablet. Mm-hmm. But without a classroom of small size, the tablet basically becomes your babysitter. Remember that. Technology is only to be used, not to have it dictate to you. You see, the tablet is not going to school. The student is. We want to return to where we become a community, a neighborhood. And a neighborhood needs several things. It needs an economic base, an educational base. It needs places to worship, places to eat. We need a business community. We need hospitals. All the things that make up a community, that's what we must have. We don't have that. We are in a desert. We are not in communities. We are now become a life-size bed and breakfast, just a place you go to live, eat, sleep, and then you go out again. And then that's why you have the mass hanging out on the streets. People have nothing to do, as if no one is at the helm. We cannot tolerate that anymore because that's being oppressed on us. And we think there's no answer. Oh, there's an answer. Someone happened to get out. I'm like what they call the crab that got out of the barrel. Mm-hmm. And I see the surface. And there's a lot out there. But why are we not partaking in it?
Okay, how would you reduce the violence and crime in the community?
We need jobs. I have a program to where it would be guns for jobs. Put the gun down. We need butter. When you are advocating openly, we want these companies to come here. We want to open up the doors of federal resources. Even though Congress is not functioning, there are still resources that have already been allocated in the budget year in, year out. And I know they haven't been passing, but they've been passing continuing resolutions. But they are still putting money in those continuing resolutions to keep things going. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of resources that aren't to our access because you don't have a head that is telling you, go on over there, that's $25,000 for you to get a startup. Go on over here, we can get scholarships, not loans. Go over here. There are a lot of resources that are available that are not being told to the community. And if they're busy trying to get resources, they're not sitting down shooting people. It's because that is being used as an answer. We're tired of people just walking around with guns. That's a coward's way out. And it dissolves and continues to be a burden and a blight on our community.
So how would you reduce the youth violence? How would you reduce that?
We need summer jobs that they have not seen in decades, at least 2. When summer jobs used to be, when the summer came, we used to, in May and April, we were filling out applications for jobs. The kids don't have that anymore. We have a whole generation that doesn't even understand that that was going on. We want scholarship. We had the BEOG, SEOG, left-handed grant. If you can sing, they had scholarships for different areas of art in the arts. They've taken the arts out of the schools. Remember that? So you have nothing but blight. What you have is a siphoning of resources from us. That's why you have violence, because they have nothing to do. I want to be a spearhead and a direction, a beacon, if you want to say.
So what would you do to reduce unemployment and bring more businesses into the district?
We want to first empower those businesses that are in China, Thailand, and Malaysia, that you must come home. See, exposure, the light, the rats scatter, the roaches scatter, when the light is shined upon it, when they are shown what they are doing, they need to come home. First of all, patriotism is not offshore only, it's at home. Charity begins at home. We want to set up areas to say, we want these companies to come here, like I said, Tesla and Apple and Microsoft and all these other innovative startups. There are a lot of innovative companies that you never heard of that are actually making products. We're not talking about electronic or web-based things. We're talking about making products. And we have a whole segment of resources of young that should be starting out, learning how to make things. We need to bring back the trade schools. We used to have, what's the one on 38th? I can't think of it.
Is it Tilden?
Tilden and, CVS used to have a workshop.
Those different shops.
Different shops. These schools need to be reinvigorated again, because not everybody wants to go to college.
Yes.
Because
okay, how would you do this? How would you start these programs again? Because most of those schools have closed.
Most of them, because they're closed, we have to start it with legislation. I want to be the one that will file, my right arm, my office is going to be working. We want to file bills to reinvigorate and restore the things that we used to have. It's like they say, go back to the days of yay and nay. We need to go back to the days of communities like you and I grew up. We had these things available to us. These things have just been taken away from us because we are there now.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you this question. The 2nd District represents a culturally diverse group. You have a mix of urban, suburban, and rural. Violence is a problem in Roseland. Now, how would you go about changing that? Because violence is a problem.
That violence question continually comes up, not just from you, but it comes up all the time. And it's one that's a festering problem because they have an environment that is conditioning for it. You have no jobs, you have poor education, you don't even have food stores. So you can go get your decent thing of groceries, as if black people don't want to eat. So now you're looking at one another and people become very bitter and very angry. I want to be the salve, the balm. I want to show them that a federal representative understands and sees their problem. We want to be filing bills. I want to be on the House floor and in the community saying help has now arrived. Because it's so vast, it's going to take a while. I'm asking for the term of a senator, 3 terms, to get this thing turned around. And if the numbers do not change, I will not seek re-election. But this is what must be done, and this is what any legislator that wants to be a congressman should be doing, is getting in the trenches, seeing it for what it is. If you see no stores, then let's go and invite the grocers to come in and set up shop. If we see no jobs, let's go to the manufacturers and the various people that have startups and entrepreneurs, and let's get them the resources and let's get these startups up and running. And if it doesn't work, my mentality is we're going to try something. And if that fails, we're going to try something else. But we are going to try something.
Okay, so what are your plans for the district?
My plans is to reinvigorate by bringing back the WPA, Work Administration Program, to where if the private industry does not want to come in and set up shop, federal government is a spender of last resort. They must come in and have a hand. Same thing when, you ever notice there was a calm in Ferguson, Missouri, when Eric Holder, the U.S. Attorney General, showed up.
Yes.
When they saw that U.S. plane out there on that tarmac, they knew this is not a plaything. We're not talking about the yokels, the locals. The big boys have shown up, and you better straighten up. We need federal intervention in these impoverished areas right away. And the federal government has, get this, Ms. Mason, infinite resources. Infinite. Because they're spending billions of dollars at the drop of a hat. Like in Israel, when they helped them, gave them $225 million on that 1 month trying to keep the Palestinians in place. That's unfortunate because the Palestinians are imprisoned in their own area. They need $225 million for a month. We can use $2 or $3 billion right now. And with the plans I have for education, investment, for our infrastructure, we can do a whole lot to start a dent in this we can't do anything. We can't sit idly by and become like people on the Sudan, that all we're going to do is just dodge bullets. That's all we're going to do. Put our children in coffins. Remember, they don't want to put us in prison anymore. They want to put us in the grave.
Yes.
And
Okay.
we can't tolerate that.
Okay, so why should the people in the district vote for you rather than the regular person that's in there now, Robin Kelly?
Just simply because of the ideas you're hearing rolling off my tongue. They know that with me, they will have the first glimpse that federal government can do a whole lot. We're not talking about sitting on the dole, but we're talking about you being American and have been a taxpayer, and some areas need an infusion of federal dollars and federal plans. We're not just talking about handing out money, but we are trying to bring forth plans and initiatives and programs that will get entrepreneurial people, the people that are sitting in the garage. Remember, Apple started in the garage. Hewlett-Packard started in the garage. Elon Musk, all these people started in the garage. We have blacks and browns and whites that have ideas that could be billion-dollar ideas and could grow if they only had a congressperson that will lead them to where the resources are.
Okay, we want to thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, you're very welcome.
And we wish you the best.
Thank you.
And as being a candidate for the 2nd Congressional District.
May I? MARCUSLEWIS
Okay.
for Congress.
All right. I want to thank my viewers for watching, and I hope you continue to watch. And remember, knowledge is power.
That was wonderful.